Alright, hello everyone and welcome back. Today, we're going to be taking a quick look at Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 9. Now, we're not going to do a full read through like we've been doing recently. We're just going to kind of go through and hit on some bullet points I made and just quickly discuss some of the interesting stuff they put in this chapter. So to start off with, we know that Ten Tails clones, Hidari and Jura, are in Hidden Leaf Village looking for Naruto. In the last chapter, it ended with them finding Himawari, as the signature that they thought was Naruto Uzumaki actually turned out to be Himawari. Team Shikadai, or Ina Shikacho, whatever you want to call them, Team 10, they were with Himawari, so they're there with her right now as they are confronting Jura and Hidari. While all this is happening, they're basically just talking to each other, saying, why do they want Himawari? Jura says that the Tail clones are surprised as well because they were looking for Naruto, but they found Himawari instead. And then Jura reveals that he actually wasn't looking for Naruto's chakra. He was looking for the Nine Tails chakra. That's how he was tracking Naruto, was through the Nine Tails chakra. And it led him to Himawari. So basically, Himawari has Nine Tails chakra energy running through her. Enough to the point where the 10 Tail clones is able to pick her up. Which is interesting. I mean, it kind of says, like, okay, does that mean Nine Tails is possibly in Himawari? But also, could just be that, you know, since she's an offspring of Naruto, she has some remnants of the chakra, but she doesn't actually have the Nine Tails. They don't really say much more than that at this point. And then, Shikadai is just trying to control the situation while he's waiting for backup or figuring out what to do. But basically, Jura says he doesn't know what's going on exactly with the whole Himawari Naruto mixed up. All he knows is he keeps finding more questions in this world, and that's something that he likes. And right as he says that, he traps Himawari in a wood clone, or a wood style technique. He's basically just entrapping her in a bunch of branches because his goal here is to devour Himawari, or to eat Himawari, to be able to absorb the Nine Tails chakra that she has. As soon as he does that technique, Ina Shikachoi jumps right into action. Shikadai does something very interesting here. He uses the Shadow Paralysis Jutsu to wrap itself around the tree that trapped Himawari and like rip her out of it, or he pulls the branches apart, which I think is very interesting. We've never seen Shadow Paralysis Jutsu do that. This might be a mistranslation. Maybe it was supposed to be like Shadow Strangle Technique, because we know that the Shadow Strangle Technique is able to be to like physically move stuff, but we've never seen the Shadow Paralysis do that. So it could just be a minor translation, but we have seen the Shadow Technique do something similar to that, so it's not that big of a deal. It's just something interesting I noticed the way it was worded. Inojin uses the art technique, Cartoon Beast Mimicry, in order to make a frog, and use the frog tongue to rip Himawari out of the tree, with Shosho catching her, making sure she doesn't hit the ground hard from the high place she was just dislodged from. This impresses Jura how quickly Ina Shikachoi was able to counter his technique, all without even communicating with each other, really. They kind of just did it on instinct. And he tells them that, out of respect for their teamwork, as long as they don't resist and let them take Himawari, he won't attack them. At this point, Shikamaru finally gets in contact with Shikadai through the sensory team in the Hidden Leaf Village, and Shikadai fills them in on what's going on about how the 10-tailed clones are here for Himawari, but they don't know exactly why. Himawari continues to question what exactly is going on and why she is the one being targeted by these enemies. We cut back to Kawaki, and we see Amato as well. Amato is looking through Delta's eyes. When I first read this, I didn't know exactly what was happening, but now looking at it now, I can see that Amato is looking through Delta's eyes, since Delta is with Kawaki, and he's wondering what's going on. He seems to be confused by the 10-tailed clones. He doesn't know exactly what they are, which is interesting to see. It's not often we see Amato truly confused or unknown by something. Usually he always has an idea of what's going on, or it's something that he caused. Like, that's how we've seen him in the part 1. So to see him now being kind of confused or bewildered by what exactly he's looking at, or what he saw with Jura taking out Kawaki without any problem, he definitely looks scared. We then cut to Koji and Boruto in an Orochimaru hideout. You can tell it's an Orochimaru hideout from the detailing on the walls and stuff, and the snake like lights on the wall that is all reminiscent of stuff we've seen in Orochimaru's hideouts before. So it seems like maybe during the time skip, Sasuke, Koji, and Boruto used Orochimaru hideouts to rest up or as a base. We don't know exactly what they're there for. But Koji basically tells Boruto that the 10-tailed clones have made a move, that they're in Konoha. It shows us that Koji still has frogs out in Konoha, and they're reporting back to him. Koji tells Boruto to then fly to the triangle. And I know some people have been confused by what they mean by this, like fly to the triangle. Some people have said like, oh, is there like a certain location Boruto has to fly to first to be able to teleport into the Hidden Leaf Village? But I don't think it's what they're saying. If you look at what the frog is holding here, you see he's holding a triangle piece right there. So the triangle is telling, so Koji's basically telling Boruto which frog he needs to fly to. And fly, we know that Boruto can actually fly thanks to the Otosuki DNA within him, but I don't think he's telling him to actually fly, because as you can see in the top left panel, Boruto does the hand signal for the flying Raijin technique. So I think by fly he means teleport, or the flying Raijin. So that's what I get from that. So it all makes sense. I was confused by the dialogue as well, saying fly to the triangle as well, but if you look at the frog, he's holding a triangle piece of material. Don't know if it's metal or what. And then Boruto's making a hand sign for the flying Raijin technique. So fly to the triangle, teleport to the frog that's holding the triangle. So that way Boruto knows which one he's supposed to go to, because the frog with the triangle is currently at the spot where all those Hidden Leaf Shinobi were killed by Jura in the last chapter. So pretty cool. We now get to see more of how these two work together. It seems like Boruto's not able to look through the frogs. It seems like it's only Koji that's able to. So that would explain why when Boruto does arrive to these scenes in the previous chapters, we've seen that the frogs actually get up on Boruto to tell him what's going on, rather than Boruto being able to see through the frogs or being able to communicate with the frogs by himself. So we know that Boruto himself doesn't have a connection to these frogs. These frogs are still Koji's frogs. So basically Koji's still looking through them, seeing through their eyes and hearing through their ears, and he's just relaying the information to Boruto. So as soon as Boruto gets to the village, the frog with the triangle will probably hop onto Boruto's jacket or clothes, so that way him and Koji can still communicate with each other. We cut back to Shikadai and Jura, and they continue to talk about what's going on. Shikadai is kind of relaying all the information back to Jura, not for Jura's sake, for Shikamaru's sake. Because remember, Shikamaru is now listening into this conversation through the Mind Sensory team. So basically, Shikadai is relaying everything to Jura. That way, Shikamaru gets a better idea what's going on and knows what they're after. And Shikamaru is also questioning why the clone, or why the 10-tail clones are here, because they think that the 9-tails is dead. Himawari continues to question what exactly is going on. She is extremely stressed out. She's wondering why do they keep asking about 9-tails chakra. Ino Shikacho keeps trying to tell them that you gotta relax, it's gotta be a mistake, there's no reason why these people should be here. Jura basically says we're surprised as well, but they need one answer, and the only way to get that answer is by devouring Himawari. He then tells Ino Shikacho that they've been warned, and Jura proceeds to make his move against them. Shikamaru is trying to get more people to help Team 10 or Ino Shikacho. He says their location out to the Mind Sensory team so that way they can get back up there. And while this is going on, someone tells Shikamaru that they are behind them, but not to look back. And it's one of Koji's frogs. And Koji's frog tells Shikamaru to link up with Ino again and open up the private connection to Boruto. That way Boruto and Shikamaru can communicate with each other during this threat. I am a little interested to know why the frog doesn't want Shikamaru looking back at him. And maybe it could be for Ada? Maybe Ada, for whatever reason, can't see the frogs. So he tells Shikamaru, the frog is basically telling Shikamaru, like, hey, I'm here, but don't, like, acknowledge me as being here. You know, because Ada can't see me, but if you look back, Ada will know someone was here or someone else was here. And maybe she'll be able to see me then. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. The whole look back thing, there's a reason for that line, I feel like. I don't think it's a throwaway line. I think it has something to do with Ada. Maybe Ada's not able to see the frogs. That's the only reason I could think why they would want to say that. But anyways, let's continue on. We cut back to Kawaki. Kawaki wakes up. Delta's getting mad at him because he almost died. And then Delta tells them that, alright, get up, we have to go help Team 10 with the clones, or with the 10-tailed clones. But Kawaki says, no, there's actually someone else we need to handle first. And it is Boruto. Now remember, Kawaki was knocked out near the location of where those hidden leaf shinobis were killed. So Kawaki, knowing that Boruto is there, because now he's able to sense him in the village, beelines right to him. We then get Boruto and Shikamaru talking to each other. Shikamaru trying to tell Boruto what exactly is going on. And then he tells Boruto that they're after Himawari for some reason. And this shocks Boruto. Boruto doesn't seem to know why they would be after Himawari. And Shikamaru tells Boruto that it seems that the Nine Tails chakra is involved. Now, the triangle frog is within Boruto's jacket now. He jumped up onto his cloak and then he snuck into his collar, that way he could be right next to him. And this is also so that way Koji can hear what is going on too. So Boruto is saying this stuff out loud so that way Koji can hear as well. So he says Himawari. And then when Shikamaru says the Nine Tails chakra is involved, if he knows that might be a reason why they were chasing him. Boruto doesn't know what's going on, but he does make sure to say out loud the Nine Tails. And this catches Koji's attention. We get a small little panel of Koji's reaction to the Jura and Hidari going after the Nine Tails. So maybe Koji might have something to say about that next chapter. But before we can move on, or before we get anything else from Koji, possibly telling Boruto through the frog, Kawaki shows up. He tells the Mind Sensory team that Boruto has arrived, he's erased his chakra signature, and that he's standing right next to where the Jonin were murdered at the gate. Kawaki then proceeds to blame the creepy monsters, Hidari and Jura, on Boruto, asking if they're friends. Boruto quickly tells Shikamaru that he needs a little time because he has to deal with Kawaki first. Boruto then proceeds to ask Kawaki why he's here, why isn't he over there helping with Jura and Hidari right now. Kawaki says that doesn't matter because you're the real enemy, Boruto. Boruto says, don't. We both know that they're the higher priority right now. Why don't we work together? You're welcome to come along with me as we go face them. Kawaki gets mad at this, and then we have Kawaki using Ishiki's eyes to launch rods at Boruto. And Boruto, in base, mind you, he's not karma amped or anything. He doesn't have the Jogon if it is still going to be a thing. He doesn't have it activated. Boruto is just in base, completely avoids the rods. Kawaki sends another volley and Boruto avoids them again, and we get this amazing panel of Boruto and Kawaki facing off as Boruto continues to march towards him and Kawaki readies himself by transforming his arm into that giant claw weapon that he likes to use. I love the way this panel looks. And then Boruto one-shots Kawaki with a single punch to the gut and sends him sliding back, and Kawaki's on the ground hurt. Boruto says, pitiful, why haven't you been training, Kawaki? And then Delta throughout this entire thing is shocked and questions Boruto and asks him, how much have you been training? So now we know for certain, we were already pretty aware of this considering Boruto was able to handle code with very little issues, but now we know for certain that right now Boruto is more powerful than Kawaki. You could even say he's leagues higher than Kawaki right now at this point. Kawaki gets upset and activates his karma, and for the first time in the time skip, we get to see Boruto's karma activate. Because if you remember, when Kawaki activates his karma, it resonates with Boruto's karma and causes it to activate as well. But the moment Boruto notices that his karma is activating, Koji tells Boruto that he needs to leave immediately to put some distance between him and Kawaki, or else he's gonna lose control. and Boruto immediately flies away from the scene to get away from Kawaki. So now we know why Boruto has not been resorting to using his karma at all. It's not because he's afraid of the possibility that Momoshiki will take over. It seems like even just activating it allows Momoshiki to take over. Maybe Boruto can't use the karma in the same way that Kawaki uses it, where he can activate like a stage 1 for the true essence of karma. I think that's what they used to call Boruto's form, where he uses the karma power as true essence form. Boruto doesn't seem like he's even able to use it, or maybe he just doesn't want to even risk it having activated at all, because maybe Momoshiki can even take over Boruto just for Boruto even activating the karma now, rather than it being when Boruto is in a hurt state or when he has low chakra. It seems like now Momoshiki might just be able to take over Boruto if the karma is even activated. And Kawaki picks up on this as he mentions to himself, or he makes a note of it, that he can't control his karma. So Kawaki is definitely going to keep that in mind for the future whenever him and Boruto meet up, or if he ever needs some kind of trump card against Boruto, he knows a way to essentially tie his hands by activating his karma, causing Boruto's karma to also resonate and activate with them. We then cut back to Ino Shikachoi and Jura fighting each other. Inojin and Himawari are trying to get away on an art bird, and Jura is tracking him down. Shikamaru Shikadai uses the shadow techniques in order to wrap itself around Jura and trap him, and trying to basically get him into a 1v1 while Inojin and Himawari fly away. And then we get this amazing shot of Jura using one eye to create a tailed beast bomb. This is simply extraordinary that he's able to create a tailed beast bomb just through his eye. And it just really shows just how strong these 10-tailed clones are. Because we've already seen Boruto, the person who so far in the time skip has been quite possibly one of the strongest characters we've seen in the Naruto universe, as he's been handling most of the threats by himself. But when these 10-tailed clones were formed, if you remember, Boruto did get overwhelmed. Granted, he was being attacked by multiple of them, because he was being attacked by the Bug clone, the Sasuke clone, and Jura. But it showed that they were a threat, and here we get to see even more examples of why these guys are threats, because Jura himself can create a 10-tailed bomb just through his eye, which is something we haven't seen, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think we've seen any other Naruto or Boruto character do at all. Now, before Jura can get the shot off, Chocho does smack him away, causing his aim to go away from Shikadai, and ends up just flying off in some random direction in the Hidden Leaf Village. And then we get this big explosion shot of the tailed beast bomb hitting, and it is insane just how much power was packed, because it was a very small tailed beast bomb. So the fact that it still did that much destruction is insane. But this is also a concern of mine of the mangas, the time skip manga, is that too much of it takes place in the Hidden Leaf Village. If we're going to be unleashing attacks like this, the Hidden Leaf Village is going to be destroyed every other chapter. Because basically, so far, the entire time skip has taken place inside the Hidden Leaf Village. So I really hope, now that we're starting to get into these huge scale fights like this, or these huge scale attacks, that we start to navigate out of the Hidden Leaf Village and start going to other locations. Because that is a problem with Boruto's canon material, is that most of it takes place in the Hidden Leaf Village, and if it's not in the Hidden Leaf Village, then it's in some other dimension that was reached using the Renegon or the Otosuki's warping technique. Now, there are a couple fights that aren't, but at least in the time skip so far, all of it has basically been in the Hidden Leaf Village. So hopefully now we'll start getting more fights that lead outside of the Hidden Leaf Village. But anyways, we get a reaction of Sarada and Sumari as they continue to head to the scene of what's going on, and that they need to hurry because they can see the dust from the explosion that just happened. Shikadai and Chocho are completely safe. They didn't get hit by the blast in the huge area it had. I don't know how. I don't know, maybe because if we look back here, when Chocho knocked them away, maybe the tailed beast bomb managed to like fly out of the Hidden Leaf Village, and so it's like blowing up on the outside in the forest. They don't really show it. I mean, looking at the panel, you could say it just hits away from them. Like, it kind of looks like it's gonna hit that house there, but maybe it went out into the mountains there. It's don't really get to see. And in the explosion shot, you can't really tell what it's hitting. So maybe it hit out there, maybe it didn't. Regardless, we cut to Shikadai. He's telling Inojin that him and Chocho need a lift. They need to get out of the area. They can't. He knows that they can't fight them. So Inojin comes flying in with this art bird, catches both Shikadai and Chocho in the claws, and they get away. Hidari asks Jura if it's okay that they're getting away. Jura says, we're only going after Himawari. They knew that. All they had to do was hand her over, but yet they decided to fight instead. Hidari says that they seem to be stupid for this, for not giving her up and instead fighting. But Jura says that that's not true, that it's because something's driving them to not give up Himawari, and that Jura wants to know what this is. He wants to know why they refuse to give up Himawari. So it seems like Jura wants to know, like, what is it about human emotion, you know, that, because they don't want to give up Himawari because that's their comrade, you know, unless their friend, Hidden Leaf member, comrade, whatever you want to call him, friend. Yeah, you get what I mean. They care for Himawari. They don't want her to be taken away. So it seems like Jura and Hidari aren't able to experience like that human emotion, and Jura wants to know what that human emotion is, or what it's like to feel that emotion, because he calls it crucial information for them as well. Shikadai then proceeds to say that it was close. If that bomb had hit them, they would have been reduced to nothing. And he says that as long as they stick near Himawari, they won't unleash another tail beast bomb on them, because they can't risk Himawari getting caught in the explosion. So basically, Shikadai says that they all need to stick together. And as they're flying away, Himawari seems kind of sees distress, but it seems like she's making up her mind on something. And then she proceeds to ask Inojin if he could drop her off somewhere by herself, because she wants to escape on her own rather than getting them caught in the crossfire. Shikadai says no. Inojin as well says no, because they'll end up catching her. And Himawari says, well, it doesn't matter if you guys stick with me either, because they're too strong for us. They'll catch all of us. And Himawari then proceeds to say, at this rate, you'll all... And then she gets cut off by something. And she sees a flash of like a different area, like a different dimension. But it's very obvious that she was going to say, at this rate, you'll all die. I feel like that's what she was going to say. But after she gets that quick flash to another dimension, she cuts back to reality. And she looks over at Shikadai. Shikadai is trying to get her attention because she completely zoned out there for a second. So he's saying, hello, hey, hello, Himawari. But Himawari goes right back to the dimension she was in, and she's confused about where she is. And then we get this shot of a small creature behind Himawari with 9 tails. And the creature says, good grief, I can't believe that jerk 10 tails would sniff me out. Himawari turns around to face the voice that just said this, and we get a shot of a small 9 tails, not small 9 tails creature. And it says, little girl, you know who I am? And Himawari says, you're the 9 tails, right? And that is where the chapter ends for this month. Crazy cliffhanger to leave the chapter on. But it does raise some questions. Now, the most obvious one is this Kurama? Or is it just a new 9 tails that doesn't have memories of the previous life? This could go either way, but I have a feeling that this is Kurama himself. I just feel like it is. I feel like I would be surprised if it's not Kurama, because he seems to know that is 10 tails. And I feel like if he didn't have his memories, he wouldn't know about the 10 tails. But then again, who knows? Maybe the tailed beasts do remember all the other tailed beasts, even through resurrection. But regardless, I feel like it's Kurama. I'd be surprised if it's not Kurama, if it's actually like an offspring of Kurama, or it's Kurama without his memories. I think it is Kurama with his memories, and he just happened to reincarnate within Himawari, because if you remember right, it is established in Naruto lore that anytime when a tailed beast dies, that they do reform with time. And at this point, it's been what, 3-4 years since Kurama has died? That is ample enough time for a creature to resurrect, for a tailed beast to resurrect. So it makes sense that Kurama would be back. So we'll just have to wait and see whether or not it is Kurama with his memories. But this does technically my wild card prediction was somewhat true. I said that Himawari was going to enter Ninetales Chakra mode, or Ninetales Rage mode, like Naruto used to do in the original series. But she didn't do that. But she did enter the Ninetales mind, like Ninetales dimension thing, you know, where the Ninetales used to be sealed, or where how Naruto would see the Ninetales in his head. Himawari did enter that like mind space, that inner space she has in herself where she can communicate with her tailed beast. So I guess my prediction was somewhat true. Not really. My prediction was only like 10% correct. But regardless, really good chapter. I really enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of great stuff in here. We got to see Eden Shikachoi show that they can at least do some work. They managed to survive against these two extremely powerful opponents, especially Jura. I mean, Jura showed his power with that tailed beast bomb. We got the whole Kurama thing, which is extremely interesting, but I think the two biggest plot points of this chapter would be Kurama, or the Ninetales, coming back, and then the reveal that Boruto is scared of his karma even activating. And Kawaki taking note of that is extremely dangerous, because we know that Kawaki needs to keep up the lie that Boruto is the one who killed Naruto and all this other stuff, and that Boruto is the villain of the Hidden Leaf. So now Kawaki knows that Boruto's afraid of his karma even activating. So maybe in the future, when Kawaki needs to frame Boruto or make Boruto cause destruction, Kawaki will just activate his karma around him in order to have Momoshiki come out on purpose. Maybe Kawaki could do something like that, but regardless, this is an extremely huge disadvantage for Boruto to have, because now Kawaki knows that Boruto can't do anything to him as long as he activates his karma and forces Boruto's karma to resonate with him. So that is a huge disadvantage Boruto has when it comes to fighting Kawaki. And it raises a lot of questions about, if you remember back in the original series, the first chapter we saw the flash forward when Boruto activates his karma against Kawaki. We got that like flash forward of like what happened to Hidden Leaf Village and all of it being destroyed and stuff. Is it possible that Kawaki caused Boruto to do that? And that's what Boruto meant by he couldn't believe that Kawaki went that far to force Boruto to destroy the Hidden Leaf Village? But then Boruto activates his karma regardless. So maybe that's not the case, but it does raise more questions about that first scene we saw. For all we know, maybe things have changed and we'll never see that first scene exactly how it played out. Maybe by now that first scene will be kind of rewritten to fix some stuff that they've decided to change over the years. But right now, as it stands, this chapter just brings up even more questions for what exactly happened in that first scene we ever saw from the Boruto time skip. It was cool to see Boruto show just how far above he is Kawaki. We got that great panel of them. It was great seeing Koji again and actually seeing how Koji and Boruto work with the frogs, and how Boruto is able to know which frog to teleport to with the because now we get to see, we already kind of speculated that's how the frogs were, or that's how Boruto was getting around, was that they had these symbols or marks on them. So now we know that the frogs carry them, and that's how Boruto knows which is which, because Koji tells him, yeah, fly to the frog that has the triangle. And Boruto is like, alright, I'll use Flying Raijin, and just poop, be there immediately. And now we know that Koji has frogs in the Hidden Leaf Village because one of them was able to get into Shikamaru's office to be able to talk to him. So we got a lot of nice questions to some things. And we see, it's nice to see that Orochimaru technically got mentioned. I mean, not really. He didn't get mentioned by name, but we see them in their hideout. So hopefully that means Orochimaru will be coming back into the story, because I feel like Orochimaru would be one person you would want to talk to about the karma, because when you really think about it, the Otsutsuki's karma and Orochimaru's curse mark are very similar. Very similar. So I feel like Orochimaru is one person that needs to come up into the story and maybe talk to, because maybe he'll know a way to be able to deal with the karma. Maybe he can find a way to remove the Momoshiki aspect of the karma from Boruto in the future. Or something. I don't know. I mean, it just makes too much sense to me to have Orochimaru in the story. So hopefully now with us seeing that they're in one of his hideaways, hopefully we'll get to see Orochimaru in the future, because it just makes too much sense for him not to be in the story. Because we know Amato has been pulling a lot of strings behind the scenes, especially in the first part of the manga. So it would be interesting to see like a battle of the minds between Amato's and Orochimaru, because Amato has all these like cyber technology stuff that he's been doing, all these upgrades to people he's been doing. So it'd be interesting to see like Orochimaru put his knowledge up against Amato and find a way to do similar things that he's done. Like Amato found a way to weaponize the karma for Kawaki and for Code. So maybe Orochimaru will be able to do the same thing for Boruto in a different fashion. So it'll be interesting to see. That's one feud or one like rivalry I want to see, is Orochimaru versus Amato in a battle of the minds, because Orochimaru is like one of the smartest characters in the franchise. It was fun to see Inoshika Choi working together and seeing how their teamwork works. It's cool to see some of the side characters get some action in this, and it's not just Boruto. But yeah, overall, really great chapter. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to what the next chapter brings. I think it is possible that we'll get to see more of... I think the next chapter will be very Himawari focused with the Nine Tails. Because this chapter kind of jumped all over the place. Not in a bad way, but in a good way. We got to see a lot of aspects. I mean, we got to see Boruto and Kawaki, Boruto and Koji, Shikamaru, Team 10 versus Jura, Sarado. We got a lot of different viewpoints, but I feel like next chapter we're probably going to focus mainly on Boruto and Shikamaru with Himawari and the Nine Tails and Inoshika Choi. I don't think we'll get more fights in the next chapter. I think next chapter we're just going to be mainly getting some quick setup to set up for another fight, maybe between Jura, Boruto, and Himawari, because maybe Boruto will end up catching up to Himawari and Team 10 before Jura does, and then Shikamaru tells Team 10 to pull out, and he tells Himawari to go with them, but Himawari refuses to, and she'll channel the Nine Tails powers to help fight Jura with Boruto. And while this is going on, maybe we'll finally get the meeting between Sarada and Sasuke's clone Hidari, because it's a little surprising that Sarada and Sumeri didn't get to the scene already. But I feel like the only reason they didn't get to the scene was because this chapter was already packed full of stuff that we couldn't exactly fit Hidari and Sarada's first meeting in there as well. So maybe that'll be a part of the next chapter. Maybe Sarada and Sumeri will meet up with Jura and Hidari will stay back to deal with those two while Jura continues after Himawari and Team 10. Could be something like that. But overall, I'm excited. The Boruto 2 Blue Vortex continues to be entertaining month after month. And I am ready to read the next chapter. We got a long 3 to 4 weeks ahead of us. For my wild card prediction for next chapter, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I think we're gonna get a Boruto and Himawari team up. I think Boruto and Himawari are gonna team up to stand off against Jura. I don't think we'll get a fight. Maybe it'll just be like a quick clash, and then Boruto finds a way to get him and Himawari out of there. I don't know, but I think that's my wild card prediction, is we'll get a Boruto and Himawari team up versus Jura. But other than that, let me know down below what you guys thought of this chapter. What are some of your theories of what might be going on? Did you guys like how Inoshika Choi was represented in this chapter? I think they got really good representation. I mean, obviously, they're fighting much stronger opponents, but even though they're fighting much stronger opponents, they still managed to hold up and at least do the necessary thing, which was protect Himawari. Let me know if you guys have any wild card predictions. What are some crazy predictions you guys think might happen in the next chapter? And other than that, make sure to leave a like, subscribe for future Boruto content, and I will see you all next time. Peace out.